The church bells were ringing long before the guests arrived, echoing through the quiet Salem morning as if announcing not just a wedding, but a storm that no one saw coming. The sanctuary smelled of lilies and polished wood, and the white aisle runner waited like a path to destiny. Everything looked perfect. Almost too perfect. And for Leo Stark, perfection was the only way to keep the cracks in his heart from showing. Leo stood in front of the mirror in the groom's dressing room, adjusting his collar for the 10th time. He told himself he was ready. He told himself he deserved a fresh start. And Javi, sweet, warm, steady Javi, represented everything Leo believed he could finally grow into. Stability. Forgiveness. A quiet life far from schemes, danger, and the wild emotional roller coaster he had lived with Dimitri von Leuschner. But love is never as clean as a wedding aisle. Outside, the guests whispered, giving curious glances at the door. Sonny and Will exchanged looks. They had seen Leo nervous before, but this was something else. Javi, already at the altar, wore a hopeful smile that made even the hardest hearts soften. He was ready to begin forever with Leo. Ready to build a life that was uncomplicated and safe. Yet inside Leo's chest, there was a storm he couldn't control. Every time he tried to imagine his life with Javi, Dimitri's face would flash in his mind, angry, soft, broken, in love. A love that shouldn't have existed but did. A love that nearly destroyed them both. And as the clock hit the hour, the doors swung open. Leo stepped into the doorway, bouquet in hand, taking a shaky breath as all eyes turned toward him. His steps were slow, measured, almost fragile. He smiled, a smile that didn't reach his eyes, and moved down the aisle toward Javi, who looked at him with absolute devotion. But halfway down, everything changed. A sudden, powerful gust of wind slammed the church doors open behind him, blowing out half the candles lining the aisle. Gasps filled the room. Leo froze. The music stopped. Even the priest's hands trembled as he held the book. And then, from the shadows beyond the doorway, a silhouette appeared. Tall. Intense. Familiar in a way that made Leo's heart collapse. It was him. Dimitri. Alive. Free. Furious. And heartbreakingly vulnerable. He stepped into the light wearing a dark coat still dusted with the cold of travel. His eyes locked on Leo like he had crossed the ends of the earth just to get here. The entire church erupted in whispers, but Dimitri didn't hear any of it. He only saw Leo, the man he lost, the man he betrayed, the man he could never stop loving. Leo's bouquet slipped from his hands. Dimitri started walking, each step echoing like thunder through the church. Javi stiffened at the altar, his face draining of color. He knew instantly, by the way Leo's breath caught, by the trembling in his shoulders, that this moment was about to destroy everything. Leonard Stark, Dimitri said, voice trembling with fury and heartbreak, what do you think you're doing? Leo couldn't move. He couldn't speak. His entire world collapsed into the sound of Dimitri's voice. Dimitri's jaw clenched. You were going to marry him? Without even telling me you were alive inside this city? Breathing, loving, planning a future that didn't include me? Javi stepped forward, trying to regain control. This is a private ceremony. You need to leave. But Dimitri's eyes never left Leo. Oh, I'm not leaving, he whispered. Not without the man I love. The church gasped. And then, Dimitri did the unthinkable. He strode straight down the aisle, grabbed Leo's wrist, and pulled him away from the altar with a forceful urgency that rattled the room. Dimitri, wait. Leo cried, stumbling into his chest. But Dimitri just cupped Leo's face, raw emotion burning in his eyes. I crossed continents to find you, he said. I survived hell to get to you. You can't marry him. You can't pretend what we had wasn't real. Javi's voice cracked. Leo, please. Tell him you choose me. Leo looked between them, Javi's shattered hope on one side, Dimitri's wild, aching devotion on the other. Two worlds. Two futures. Two hearts that both belonged to him in entirely different ways. Tears filled Leo's eyes. His lips parted. But before he could speak, Dimitri pulled him close again. I won't let you walk away from us, he whispered. Not again. He dragged Leo out of the church, not violently but desperately, like a man terrified of losing something sacred. Javi stood frozen, unable to breathe, unable to move, watching the man he loved be pulled out of his future. The guests stared in stunned silence as the church doors slammed shut behind Dimitri and Leo, leaving behind nothing but shock, heartbreak, and the shattered remains of a wedding that never had a chance to begin. And that is how Dimitri von Leuschner returned to Salem, not quietly, not subtly, but by ripping Leo Stark away from the altar and setting off a love triangle that will tear hearts apart and reshape the future for all three men.